Day and maybe you want to design and build a houseboat. Excellent idea. Sunset drinks, having friends over, having some fun during the day, and maybe some dinner with friends as well. But then you think about all the details you have to go through, all the calculation process. And this is where I want to help you. You probably start thinking about what type of houseboat. There's so many elements to consider. And the costs, not just to buy as for to run. And you wonder what's the difference of building it yourself versus buying from the shipyard. Where are the saving potentials? The hull. There's so many different materials, shapes, monohull, catamaran. And we want to calculate how much will it hear when people move around. How stable is it? How much volume do we need in that hull to float the boat in the right height? And what shape is ideal? How do we make best use of material? Superstructure. Might have a good idea about some timber framing, but can we really design a stiffening structure? How to calculate a beam based on the load? How to make sure that there are no problems with condensation in the walls, dew curves? How much heat do we lose through the walls? I will give you some ideas about typical dimensions. I actually will calculate them with you to show you how it works. And examples about what does a wall look like, the floor, the ceiling, drainage. Such a big, vast topic. Floor plans. I want to give you some ideas, some inspiration. But as well, I want to show you how you have to consider, have access into the hull, access to technical elements you might not need in a house on land, but you need to be aware of it in a houseboat. Where you later moor the houseboat matters, and the floor plan as well affects how the houseboat floats. All these things have to be considered. Electricity. From your house you know alternating current, but now you have to deal with direct current. We have to calculate how much electricity we need and balance it with the energy sources. We have to create a proper plan how everything ties together. So we have to understand the basics of electricity. We have to know what elements from the marine industry are helpful to us. What fuses, what connectors. I want to calculate actually how thick a cable needs to be. What connector when, what fuses do we need. Solar, how much solar can we need. How do we fasten it on the roof? What wind turbine might work best for us? Very interesting topic, and actually not that difficult once you understand the basics. Freshwater. What kind of tanks can you use? The sensors, the connectors to shore. How do we tie it together to a proper system? The pumps, water heaters. And did you know you can as well create your own water from lake water or seawater with water makers to make you independent from land? Very interesting. Wastewater. Again, what kind of systems are typical for houseboats and boats? Are the marine toilets any good? What elements from domestic appliances can we use? What special sensors? What do we do with the sewage? Do we pump it out, or do we consider sewage treatment plants which make you independent from land once again? Very interesting and often overlooked element. Heating. So many elements: mobile heating, marine heating, air conditioning from land, floor heating. I go through all of that. And furthermore, we now use the figures from our superstructure, like how much heat we lose through the walls, to calculate how much energy we need to heat our houseboat. And then once we know how much heat energy we need, we can as well calculate how much oil we have to store to get through the whole year, or how many pallets. And we go through details like how to store heating oil, or use electricity, all the elements, propulsion. We go through the details. How to make it mobile, what speed can we achieve, how much engine power do we need, difference inboard, outboard, all the force involved, how to install it properly, what rudder designs, and all the equations, all the calculations from propeller size, rudder size, shaft size, and we go all the elements you need to consider, the control elements, hydraulic, mechanical steering, and how to then later tie it together, and some recommendations for different types of houseboats. Operational safety. Well, we are a boat, but we are as well a house. So What does a balustrade look like? What do the handrails look like? What kind of stairs or ladders do I recommend? For what kind of houseboat? Lights to drive at night, a good solid anchor system, how to securely moor it in a marina, view angles, propane systems, and as well, what training do you need? What licenses are required? Control and diagnostics. It can be as simple as some little displays, but can as well as complex like control panels and touchscreen displays. I go through all of them, make recommendations, and as well show you how you can use programmable controllers to actually create a lot of customized solutions. Legal matters, very important. We not just want to be safe, we want to be as well compliant to all rules and regulations, not to get any fines or tickets. And that complies not just to the boat and its design, but as well how we secure it, and as well what type of mooring and approvals from maybe councils we need. Inspection and maintenance. I give you ideas about what a weekly inspection looks like, monthly, yearly, and what maybe a 10-year overhaul looks like. I as well go through some design tips, how to make it less maintenance intensive, and how to make the whole structure last longer. That applies to the hull, maybe avoiding corrosion, but as well for the superstructure, like avoiding humidity in the structure. And we go through, once we have big overhauls, what do they look like, what's involved. Environmental considerations. Having a houseboat is as well being in nature, and we want to protect it. So we go through emissions and caused by the operation of the boat, but as well by the construction. And what materials are good, what design works better, how do we can use solar and other renewable energy sources to make us more sustainable, and how can we tie that together in an approach for a zero emission houseboat. And you take it how far you ever want to go, but I give you all the ideas. Planning. Once we have our design, we need to see how we can make that happen. I go through all the detailed steps. What's a typical schedule look like? How much time do you need? A typical budget and a cost breakdown for different houseboats, part lists, and I give you ideas how to save costs and to save time. Very interesting topic that you make sure that you only start when all the details are worked out. Detailed design, talking about details. I go through all the elements you have to calculate and the drawings you have to create to make sure everything is ready and you don't have to go back to the drawing board once you start construction. Ordering and contracting. Ordering parts, what's a long lead item, how do we organize that? And if we don't do it ourselves and we use contractors, how do we write a specification, a technical specification, a functional specification? What are terms and conditions? We need to understand these elements and how we tie them together in a contract. How do we do inspections? How do we manage contractors? Very interesting, can be a lot of fun once you understand how this industry works. Construction process. I'm running a bit out of space for examples, but how do we organize the construction site? What's important? How do we organize contractors and our own work? Who comes in first? What are the steps? Some tips and tricks how to do all that. Construction safety, working at height, trip and falls, power tools. I want that you are happy with the result, that is safe and everything. We go through all of that. My name is Stefan Hübbe, and I've designed and built many houseboats in my career. I have my own house building company. I consult people on their design and how to make their projects come true, and I love this field. Living on the water brings out all the best. And everything I learned over all these years, all the knowledge, all the experience, tips and tricks, I put in a book. It's a paper book or an e-book, and it's quite comprehensive. It took me a few years to put it together, but I'm very proud of it because I really go through all elements. There are a lot of drawings. All the photos and drawings from this presentation as well are part of the book, but it's only a fraction of it. Illustrations, photos, equations, and you need to be technical minded, but you don't need to be an engineer or a boat builder, because we really take it one step at a time and start at the beginning. How to use equations, how to calculate something, how does structural calculations work, how does electricity work, all the basics. It's not a blueprint to build a boat of it, and that was not my intention, because a boat is as individual as the owner. But I want to give you all the knowledge and all the skills to do all the calculations, to create all the right documents, all the right contracts, all the right designs, that you can make it happen. Nobody will ever be able to do all the steps of building a houseboat. So one way or another you will involve contractors. So you're a manager as well. So it's all in there, and you decide how much you do yourself, and how much you contract out. Everything is in there. It's available on Amazon, and I really hope you like it. I wish you all the best of luck with your project, and I hope to see you on the water.